And I'm not kidding you, I was going pretty fast to get out of where we had just bombed something, and it was all skip bombs, so we were down low. We were down to 100 feet.
How fast are you going?
220 maybe to deliver. And that's what this was, and this was the pullout. Machine guns in front of me, on the sides, and behind me, and I could see it all going off.
Curious Humanography is proud to partner with Utah Honor Flight, part of the National Honor Flight Network, giving veterans the trip of a lifetime to Washington, D.C. to visit memorials built in their honor. Each flight is free for veterans and made possible by generous donors. To learn more or support their mission, visit utahhonorflight.org and find your local Honor Flight hub at www.honorflight.org. Also, if you'd like to see more stories like this, please support us by subscribing to our channel, liking, commenting on the video, and sharing it with your friends. Your support helps us continue to bring stories that deserve to be heard. Thank you for watching, and now back to our show.
Harold Alston, and I grew up in Salt Lake City. Graduated from the University of Utah.
Your degree in what?
Finance.
Okay.
Learn how to use money. And I joined the Utah Air National Guard and was going to be a radio fix-it guy. And a friend of mine said, why don't we, because we'd go out and watch the airplanes. They had F-86s in, like Korea had.
Yeah.
And we thought, gosh, those guys really look nice, and they're staggering in. And he says, why don't we go to pilot training? And I said, I don't think I can pass that. He said, well, let's take the exams. And we both passed the exams. So I thought, I'd never been in an airplane. So I found a guy that had just got his civilian license in a Cessna. The little pedal jumper. And I said, would you take me up? Let me see what it's like. So we did. And I thought, well, that's not too bad. We didn't crash or anything like that. So I says, okay, I'll take the exams. And we both took them. We were both fixed to go. And I went, and he went a month later than I did. And then I went the whole way, and I could go step by step. But
where did you go? Where was flight training at?
Well, first thing was San Antonio, and then went to Marianna, Florida, and then went to Greenville, Mississippi.
And what was the first plane that you flew in after with the training?
Oh, it was a little trainer. Can't even remember what it was, but it was just a small 2-seat thing. Just would go 90 miles an hour.
What was that like the first time?
Well, I had an instructor with me, and I thought it was kind of fun. And he took demonstrated some things, and then I did it. And so I was making landings the first time I ever flew. And within a week, I was by myself. My instructor didn't go with me anymore, didn't have to.
Did you feel like you took to it right away? I mean, it felt natural for you?
It was pretty easy because I'd had cousins in World War II, and I had my oldest sister's husband was graduated from the university and went in the Air Force. This is maybe 5 years before I did, and he was in fighters, and so I got some notes from him, and I thought, this is pretty neat. Plus, now I'm going to get into fighters, and I'm going to be one of those good-looking guys that's walking in that my buddy and I kept saying, God, look at them.
So what year would this been? Early 60s? Late 50s?
Yeah, it's 50s, probably 58, 59, somewhere in there.
No conflicts going on? Or was there? Was there anything happening war-wise? It was kind of in between.
No, it was in between.
Yeah. And the planes, what plane were you hoping to fly at the time?
Well, I just wanted to be in fighters. I didn't care what
Which
ones.
one?
F-86s looked pretty good to me.
So, was it, what was, there is a boot camp, right? Or do they call it that, or is it called something else for pilots?
Well, it's not boot camp.
It's a lot different.
Yeah.
What was it like?
Well, it was all right because I was a cadet, and so we had an upper class, and they would try and beat you to death and things like that. But
It was more from the other students, less from the instructors. Basically.
Oh yeah, the instructors didn't do any of that stuff.
Interesting.
And I progressed until I was on the top thing, doing the same thing to the new guys. So,
okay, how long's the flight school before they advance you to?
I think took about a year and a half, maybe year, 9 months, something like that.
And is that when do you start doing the jets? When did they actually put you in a jet?
After you've done the other 2 airplanes. That's the last one you do, and you're there for probably 3/4 of a year doing jets when you finally get into jets.
And is that from your perspective? Was that just a huge jump going from prop to jet, or is it at that point it's not that it feels seamless?
No, I loved it because the jets were smoother. You didn't have that propeller going around. You had.
And what was the first jet they put you in?
T-33. It's a 2-seat trainer. Very good trainer.
Yeah. Tell me about your experiences doing that.
Well, by that time, I went through pretty fast. We had instruments, and my sister's husband says, "Now learn how to do instruments, because if you get in weather, that's all you can see is what you got in front of you." So I did, and I did really well in that. And then I liked flying the jet much more than the others. I mean, it was just jet,
Yeah.
And so I was very good on formation. We had a guy that just couldn't fly close, and he left the program. But I liked it, and I didn't have any trouble in the jet at all. It was smooth, and you're faster, and I could take it up to 40,000 feet and do aileron rolls all the way down or something. So T-33 is a very, very good trainer.
At that point, are you guys going up every day?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Usually for how long a flight would you go when you were training?
An hour flight.
Wow. That must have been a rush.
And sometimes you'd be up there and you'd do acrobatics, or then you'd come down a little earlier and do landings, get 4 or 5 landings in, just land and go and come around. And if I only did the last one, then you use the brakes to stop.
Did any of your fellow students have mishaps? Did you see any of that when you were training, or no?
Not in my class, no.
Wow. Okay, so what happens after that then?
Well, then where was I going to go? And so since the Air National Guard had fighters, and they were going to change their mission from day fighters to airplanes where you're doing intercepts and things like that. So it happened to be an F-86D and L, which had the radar on. The others didn't. And that's where all us Guard guys were supposed to go, because they were going to get those airplanes. So that was in Texas, back in Texas, Sherman, Texas. And it was a single-seater, pretty good-size engine, and just a big F-86. And you're by yourself, and that was a lot of fun to be by myself.
So, and what were the mission? What did you say the mission was? Interceptor? Is that at that point? Mm-hmm. Yeah. What does that mean?
That means you've got a radar, and if you've got any bogeys that are coming in, you can pick them up on your radar and go shoot him down. Because we had a gun, and we also had rockets.
How many rockets did the plane hold?
I think it was 4.
And what was the range? How close did you have to be to somebody to?
Oh, inside 1,000 feet.
Oh, so you had to be close.
Yeah.
So they taught dogfighting?
Oh.
Or not really?
Not really, but we did that on our own. Well, we came back to the squadron, and, I'd gone through all the training that the Air Force gave me, and that was really good. But there were about 5 of us that had gone through the same program, and so, okay, Harold, let's go fly, with guys that I had gone through with, had no more flying time than I did. So it was pretty easy, we'd fly formation and do things like that. But after a while, I looked at the older pilots that had that we were watching there originally. And I says, I don't need to fly with my buddies. I know how to do everything that he knows how to do. I don't know how to do these other guys that are Korean fighter pilots, and they've got a whole bunch of other things because they didn't fly things like we were going to.
Right.
And so I started asking those guys, can I fly with you? And we would dogfight and everything because we never dogfighted in the others. And I just think it made me a better pilot because I was doing more things and doing hard things with some of these guys that were really, really good.
That's smart.
And so that kind of put me ahead of my buddies, which was okay, But then, they're, okay, let's go fly formation, but you lead. I want to be on the wing. Well, sure, because I know how to lead a float, fly it now.
Yeah.
Because the guys taught me. And then they would get on my wing and make me work. So I just think I got better training than what was set up for them.
Right.
Because I just wanted to do more things.
Right. Okay, so what happened after that? Where did you go after that?
Well, when I graduated from the university, I was still flying with the Guard. When I graduated, and I was married, and we had 2 young boys. When I graduated, I took a job up at Boeing in Seattle. And when I got up there, I still wanted to fly, but the only thing I saw was a Navy thing they didn't have any jets there. And there was a reserve outfit, and that was even worse, but I thought it was Air Force, so I got in that. And we had another boy up there, so that's number 3.
Yeah.
I'll get to number 4 later.
Okay.
But I got in that reserve outfit, and I hadn't flown dual airplanes or dual engines, but I went through it, and there were 2 other guys that had been in multi-engine things. I was the only one that got through it and was made a captain to be in the left seat. And they were in the right seat. And they had all this experience. I thought, flying's flying. And then the Cuban crisis came out at that time. So they sent one of our airplanes, and I was the co-pilot.
Wow.
Of that, all the way from Washington State to the tip of Florida.
What was your mission?
It was to haul some stuff back because by then it was over with, and they still had airplanes from other fighter pilots or fighter places in Florida, and we were going to take some of the, I don't know what it was because we never took it.
Oh, really? Did you never make it to Cuba?
No, we did. We took one load, but I don't know what it was. So
that must have been exciting. A little high profile, huh?
Yeah, and I actually ran into a couple of guys that had been in the National Guard with me in Salt Lake, but they came into the Air Force also, and they were flying F-4s. I thought, well, that's what I want. Well, do you want me to?
Yeah, keep going.
Tell you what happened. So anyhow, we get back to Washington, and I still hadn't gone back to work. I stayed with the unit, and I says, is there any way that I can get back in the real Air Force? And they said, well, yeah, just apply. And so I did. And so I got orders. And the orders were sending me to Langley Air Force Base, which is in Virginia.
Okay.
And I thought, it's the Air Force. That's what I want. And I didn't know what I was going to do there. But so anyhow, my wonderful wife and our 3 boys, little boys, we drove our car all the way from Washington to the East Coast almost. And it was Langley Air Force Base, which was headquarters of Tactical Air Command. And I thought, oh, this is good. That's what I want, because that's fighter stuff. So I get there, and they're going to, because I'd been flying that old airplane props and stuff like that, they were going to put me in that section. And I says, no, I'm a jet pilot. That's what I flew. And I flew F-86s. And so I went up to the big boss, and I says, I don't want to be in that section. I want to be in the jet section. And here's my folder, and you can see what I've flown. And I says, that reserve thing was just to let me still do something for the Air Force. And he says, okay, I'll give you a chance in the jet section. And so I did. And then I was flying the T-33, and I was giving check rides to the commanders and all of that stuff. And
explain that, a check ride.
Well, it's, you usually got 2 if you're a fighter pilot. You got one that was just out to fly and do acrobatics and things like that.
You're taking like a senator or something on a ride. Is that what that means?
No, you're taking somebody like me to grade you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, you always say they're checking out your skills.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other thing is, you get an instrument check ride once a year so that you can still fly in clouds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I did that, and I was flying every single day. I'd fly 5, maybe 8 flights a week, and that's just in 5 days. And I thought I was doing a pretty good job, and they did too. As a matter of fact, this is kind of a side thing, but one of the, I can't remember what it was, but it was one of these weekend things where you have air shows and things like that. They couldn't get the Thunderbirds. They owned the Thunderbirds because this was Tactical Air Command.
Yeah.
But they couldn't get them there because they had another civilian thing. So they had a couple of ex-guys that had been on that team, and they said, no, we're not going to do it. We're not good enough right now. We've got a desk job. And while they were checked out in the T-33, they hadn't done acrobatics or anything like that, or even formation. And so they came back to the jet section, us, and says, Cal, what are we going to do? I says, I'll do it. He says, what would you do? And I gave a little air show thing, loops and the rolls and all this stuff. And I had done some of that with that F-86. It wasn't part of the program.
your own self stuff. Yeah.
So anyhow, they took that to the boss, and he says, well, he's been doing a good job. He flies the airplane. Let him work out a show. So I did. And I was the jet pilot, and I did all kinds of things, loops and, 30, 40-minute flight.
That's great.
And so that's how we got through that. And the T-33 is a 2-seater. I told you, my boss, he didn't go with me on any of my rehearsals that I did to get things looking good.
Yeah.
But when I went in to get my parachute and go out to the airplane, he came in and he says, I'm going to go with you, Harold. I thought, that's another 200 pounds. But I didn't say anything. He's my boss. So he gets in the back seat and doesn't do anything except make sure that I'm not crashing, I guess. So I did the whole show, and it really worked out well because some of the things they hadn't even seen. And my boss didn't say, "Hey, that was good," or I'm glad I went. He just hung his parachute up and we called it quits. So. But it was a good show. I've
cool.
even done the same thing at Hill Air Force Base.
Yeah.
And I did that with a civilian airplane that had the same type.
Tell me a little bit about the T-33. What's the specifics about it?
Well, it's 2 seats, so you can have an instructor in it. It has, it's a jet.
2 engines?
No,
Just
it's
one?
a single engine. And it's got a nice dashboard with all the instruments, and especially for if you're going through clouds or storm or something, you've got everything that you can fly the airplane and without tipping over doing some stupid thing like that.
Pretty powerful? Was there plenty of power in or not? Just so-so?
It wasn't really big. 120 knots on final approach speed compared to some fighters that are 150, 180, which came later on.
Yeah.
But it was a good jet. Single engine.
Yeah. Okay. And then what happened after that, the show?
Well, I'm back to work. And after I'd been there 2 years, I went to my boss in that section. I says, I want to get in another fighter squadron. I've been here 2 years. And he says, yeah, me too. Let's go down to Florida. And we went down and talked to one of the generals, and they had the F-4s. And he says, yeah, I'll take you both. And, here I am. I'm a captain. And I says, would you take me as the front seater? Oh, no, I'd put you in the back seat first. And I thought, no, that's not for me. And my boss said the same thing. So we came back, and this guy told me to go to Tactical Air Command guy, and he would just make the arrangement, and I was in. I just said no, because I don't want to be the back seater. And they did most of that for navigators. So I turned that one down. So did my boss. And I says, well, I know another place that I would like to go. And he said, why don't you go up and talk to my boss, the big boss that was going to put me in the slow ones.
Yeah.
But he saw what I did, and I did a really good job for those 2 years. I flew a lot.
Yeah.
And everything worked out well. And so my boss sent me up to him, the big boss, and he says, you have been here 2 years, and you've done a good job. What do you want to do? And I says, I want to get back into a fighter squadron. And he says, well, where's your first choice? And I said, Victorville, California, F-104s. And he says, well, why don't you go over and talk to our guy in personnel and see what he can do? Well, I got over there, and he had already called him and told him to do something. So I walked in because I thought he was a ground pounder, he wasn't a pilot. And I thought, he's going to send me to some dumb place. I don't want to go. And he says, where do you want to go? And I said, I want to go to George Air Force Base in the F-104. And I thought, well, that killed it. He says, well, I think I can help you. And I thought, my eyes got this big. And he says, they need pilots. He says, have you had fighter background? I says, yes, I have. And I've got all jet time except for one little thing that the reserve I had. So he says, they need pilots. You've got the background. He says, when do you want to go? I says, well, how about May? How about March? And so he cut the orders, and we left in March. And we drove all the way from Virginia to California with my 3 little boys and my wife, gonna have another one.
Oh my gosh.
Which she had a month after we got there, because I flew out there and got a house that I rented and stuff because I could still fly.
At this point, how old are you? 28? Late 20s?
Yeah. Might have been into 30, 31, somewhere in there.
And talk to me about the 104. Why did you want to do that? What made you tell me about that?
Well, I wanted to do that because it was the fastest airplane in the Air Force, and it was a fighter, and it was the big fighter for the Air Force until they started getting the F-4s, which was kind of equal to the 104. And I knew it would go twice the speed of sound, and I'd never done that before. So I just said, that's the only place we have 104s. And I'm a fighter pilot, so that's why I wanted to go there and get the fastest airplane the Air Force had. So I did. We got there. My wife had the 4th son a month after we got there. And I had already started flying with my flight commander because he was an instructor. And he gave me 3 flights and a twin, 2-seaters. I don't mean a twin, a 2-seater, with me in the front and him in the back, because I was going from the T-33 at 120 knots on final to the 104 at 175 knots. And, but we had some 2-seaters, and he gave me, I think it was 3, might have been 5. It might have been 5 with him in the back seat. And he says, okay, you're going solo. And so we took a single seater, and he took another one to chase me. And I did everything I was supposed to do and even made a decent landing. So he says, okay, I'm through teaching you.
What was that like the first time in the 104 for you?
Oh, I loved it.
Tell me about it.
Well, it was fast because it was much faster than I'd ever flown, even on takeoffs and landings. Instead of 120 knots, it was 180 knots, and it had guns. I didn't fire them, until later on, but I was just, look at me.
You'd become that guy you wanted to be coming out of the airplane.
Well, it was just, the fastest airplane, and I was new, and I just thought this was what I wanted. The baby's already come. We've got the house that I had rented, and so things are just going really well.
That plane had that reputation of, what do they call it? A missile with a pilot on it.
Man with a missile.
Yeah.
A missile with a man in it was the way it was.
Is that kind of what it felt like?
Uh-huh.
Was it very maneuverable?
Yeah. It was just bigger. If you're going Mach 1, you're making a bigger circle, even though you're pulling 8 Gs. But
tell me about, when's the first time you went? Did you go full out on it? Twice the speed of sound? Did you do that?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about that. When was the first time of that, and what was that like?
That was, it was either on my check ride or the very next flight.
Wow. Not many guys can say that. That's cool.
Well, it was a nice airplane, and it was well designed and everything. So then that was March. It was March when the baby was born. And then in July, we got the notice that we were going to go to Southeast Asia, Da Nang Air Base in Vietnam. But we weren't going to stay there for a year. We were just going over for 3 or 4 months because there had been another squadron that went there for a couple of months. So we took the whole squadron. So the commander of the squadron stopped by one time, and he says, well, Harold, how do you feel? And I says, good. I says, I love the airplane. I've had my check ride. He says, yeah, but your squadron is, because we had 4 squadrons there. And he says, your squadron is selected to go to Da Nang. And I says, oh, well, that's what I'm here for. I'm a fighter pilot. And he says, you sure? Because there were two more guys behind me that hadn't finished all their training and stuff. He says, well, what do you think? I said, well, I'm okay. I'm okay to go. I can fly formation. I can do everything with the airplane. I know where the gun switch is. So he says, okay. He says, because I can get you out of it. I can get you to school. And I says, I'm in the Air Force to do what I'm supposed to do. So I did go, and he let me go. And we were only there for 3 months, maybe 4 or something.
And when you landed there, what do you call it, Da Nang?
Uh-huh.
What was that like?
It was just a big airport, and there were a lot of other airplanes there that were flying for the, some Navy, Army.
What year would that be? Is that 66?
65, I think.
65.
It was when we went. So we did. We started flying missions, and some of those were in South Vietnam. We had some in North Vietnam also.
Yeah. What would a typical mission be?
Dropping bombs or rockets or the gun, because we had that Gatling gun.
Okay.
That was a wonderful gun in the fighter.
Was that air-to-air? Air-to-ground, mostly?
Well, it was built for air-to-air, but the MiGs were not flying against us. We never flew against a MiG.
You never saw them?
I saw 2, but they were Chinese over one of the islands. But they would not fly when we were up. They flew when F-4s were up. They shot down a lot of MiGs. Why do they get that?
You feel like the MiGs were intimidated by the 104s?
Oh, yeah.
Just because of the speed?
Mm-hmm. But they did have one airplane that was pretty fast, but I don't think they had very many of them.
What was that? Which one was that? You remember?
Yeah, I can picture it. I can't remember the thing. But so anyhow, we went. We were only there at Da Nang for 3 or 4 months.
Do you remember your first mission there?
Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, because my flight commander took 2 other guys, and they went up on this thing. But my flight commander, who led that, called back, and he had some problems with his airplane. So we always had an airplane on ready to go and a pilot.
Yeah.
And I wasn't scheduled for that, but the pilot that was scheduled was our operations officer, and he said, I don't want to, he's a major and I'm a
right.
second lieutenant. So I took over for him and I got the word on the radio to launch and come up. So I did, and the other 2 were kind of off, and this guy was the same guy that checked me out in the 104.
Yeah.
He was the flight leader, and he had me come up and look, and he said, you see any damage on my wings or anything? I said, yeah, your leading edge flap is gone. I says, and it looked like it bounced off the wing and slashed the fuselage. Didn't say anything about the engine. And he turned around, and he must be having some kind of problems that he saw that he didn't tell me about. And he was going in to make an emergency landing at Chu Lai, which was just south of Da Nang. So I stayed on his wing. The other 2 guys stayed up there to watch, but I'm on his wing, chased him all the way down, and he's going to land at Chu Lai there. And he came in, and he was lined up and everything, but he hadn't had the landing gear down yet. And I says, put your gear down, get the landing gear down. And we kept getting closer, and the landing gear's not down yet. And finally I'm yelling at him through the radio, and I thought, well, maybe he's still on the field thing. So I went to guard, which it's another frequency that we always have. So I'm just yelling at him out of guard, and he never does put the landing gear down. and he's going in, and the airport has pierced, I don't know, some screwy thing on the runway. Well, he goes in, and his bomb racks grab, and it flips him off into the side, and he goes right in, and he's 180 knots, maybe a little slower, but certainly 150 at least, and he goes right into a sand pitch and just blows up. I thought, and I'm yelling at him to, get the gear down and all that kind of stuff. He never did call me back, and it killed him. That was our first loss.
And that was your first flight there, first mission?
Yeah. And the other two were there, and I thought, well, why weren't they chasing him? Why was I chasing him? So anyhow.
Yeah, that's sobering.
Then I joined up with the other two, and we went in and landed. And, and they could see what was going on, and they could hear me. But so we lost him.
What do you think? He didn't get the landing gear down. Do you think he passed out or something in there?
I don't know.
The gear couldn't go down? He never answered.
He never did answer. And I asked somebody, if they knew anything about him. They says, well, yeah, he didn't have his gear down on some place they were going in Washington or something. He says, that happened once before. I thought, well, okay.
Wow.
I did all I could do because I was right with him as he goes in. And so that was, I thought, combat is not like at home. We always lost my flight commander.
You guys talk about that when you get back, or does everyone just, what do people?
Oh, yeah, we talked about that big time.
Because part of the thing is, I would think you just think you're kind of invincible in those things in one way. Is that true?
Well, you can, but you shouldn't.
Yeah. A typical mission, usually, was there a lot of planning that went into it before you'd go out? Or is it just like, oh, we need you to go here?
Not a lot of planning, but to find out where it is and what it was like. Was it hilly or was it desert or, what?
What kind of bombs would you drop usually?
Well, we'd have 750-pound bombs, guided bombs, or we'd have napalm. Those are the two that we had. And once in a while, we'd have rockets, but we'd fire those higher, and that's to hit a tank or something like that.
Wow.
So at that time, we usually got a notice of where the thing was, what it was, and what we were to do. And a lot of times, I led one. Sorry, I led one north one time, and that was all still against the ground. But at least I talked to my flight because, and that's the other thing. I was a new guy, and my flight commander made me a flight leader after my 5th combat flight.
Wow.
And I know another squadron that had required 20 missions before they would let a guy become a leader.
Yeah.
And I'd led flights before with the F-86. I mean, no big deal. But so
typically, how many would go out when you guys would go on a mission?
4.
4 planes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You ever get shot at while you were out there? With the SAMs? Talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, there were places where there were machine guns at us, plus the SAMs. You get more from the machine. I had more shots from guns where it was all around me. But
and is in the plane, you just hear them hitting the plane, or how do you know? I would think it's so loud in there. Tell me about that.
Well, you would hit. I never got hit.
Okay.
But I had machine guns in front of me, on the sides, and behind me, and never hit me. I mean, I'm talking about places this big. And I could see it because this one time was at dusk, and I could see it all going off. And I'm not kidding you, I was going pretty fast to get out of where we had just bombed something, and because it was all skip bombs, so we were down low.
Yeah. How low do you go when you're dropping those?
We were down to 100 feet.
Wow. How fast you going?
200, 220 maybe to deliver.
Yeah.
And that's what this was, and this was the pullout. And I had all this machine gun stuff. Well,
would they use tracers or no?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
So you could see where it was coming from.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I had it all around me, and never took a hit, not one.
Okay, so in that situation, is your heart just racing, or are you just in the mode of just...
No, I'm still busy.
You just got a lot going on.
Mm-hmm. I was never frightened about anything. I don't know whether that's...
It's probably why you were such a good pilot, though,
well,
honestly.
I always was not thinking of me. I was thinking of what am I going to do, stuff like that. And that time... when it was all around me, there was another airplane that he came across behind me and flew on my wing. He was on my left side. I don't know if because he was on the right side, because we had 5 airplanes all lined up like this because we were dropping bombs.
Yeah.
Low.
Yeah.
On boats.
Oh, on boats. Wow.
Yeah. And anyhow, this other thing came on my side, and I'm seeing all this, but I'm going as fast as I can because I'm going headed east over the South China Sea. I wasn't going to make a turn and go back because we were back in the west. But so he came over with me, and I could see them starting to shoot at him. And I says, okay, brake hard left now. And he did. And if he hadn't, they would have just blown his tail off. Mm. Because the next one was right exactly where that tail was, and he was moved slightly. So it was just things like that. And it was dark. By then it was dark.
Yeah.
And so we found each other over the South China Sea and flew in formation back home in Thailand.
Did you guys have refueling planes up there all the time? Mm-hmm. Usually if you were flying a mission, you had access to those.
Mm-hmm. Especially during the day. Not at night, but during the day, yes.
And how long could you go before you needed refuel usually on a typical mission?
Oh,
I guess time-wise.
45 minutes, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But we could go up to Hanoi and do our job, bombs, guns, whatever it was, dodge missiles, and then head back to Da Nang or someplace like that, and we would usually maybe have to get, 1,000 pounds or something to get home. They were good. The tankers were really good. Yeah, really good.
Was that challenging to get that going, or you could just fly at a regular speed? It was not too bad to be refueled?
It was slower than what we were doing, which was okay. And the problem was there was one day where the wind was blowing all over, and it was kicking the thing all over.
The boom. Yeah.
It took 10 times to even make a contact because it was all over. And that's not because the pilot was poor. It was because the wind was blowing. But we came out okay.
Tell me about avoiding the SAMs. What's that like, and what was the advantage of the F-104 then?
Okay, I can give you a real mission. There were 4 of us in the F-104, and we were flying top cover for 2 F-105s because they had the low stuff and the big stuff that they could fire into things like that. And our job was to keep the MiGs off of them. So we're up just over Hanoi, and the 105s get a launch from a SAM, and so they called that for us, and they're in front of us. So we're like this in a formation, but we pushed down. We're pretty close to the ground anyhow, but we went down because the missiles are radar controlled from a truck or something.
Right.
And so they've got it all pinned on us. And so we pushed over, except the new guy on the right side. And he took time to go inverted and then pulled. But as he went inverted, the missile hit him right dead center in the tail, right in the exhaust. And it just blew up. So everybody's going north. And I saw it happen, and it actually blew the seat out. And I saw that, and we have automatic things that open it up and the parachute, even though he was that low, I saw that he got a parachute. And I thought, I got to make sure what he is. Is he dead or alive?
Right.
So everybody else is going north up toward China. And I'm making this turn around because I get around in front because he's facing the other way. And so I'm making a circle around there. And this parachute it's come out of the seat, and everything, the chute is opening up, and he's hanging down. So I said, he'll wave to me if he's alive. So I make this tight turnaround, and they got another one on me.
Oh my gosh.
Well, but I'm turning, and it goes right over my shoulder. And I thought, dang, I was mad at them because I'm looking at my buddy, but it was close, but it didn't.
Like how close? What's close?
Well, I don't know. It was going fast, and I was going fast, but it was within feet.
Oh my gosh.
Because I was pulling 7 Gs to make that turn.
Right.
And so then I'm roll out right in front of him, and here he is. He's facing me. I'm looking right at him, and I wiggle my wings and everything. He never does wave at me or anything. So I thought, he's probably dead. So you
see him hit the ground?
Yeah. And so then I go try to find the other guys. And we got his body back.
That did kill him, though.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
He was dead.
Wow.
Hanging up in the parachute.
Wow.
Yeah. So I just called that off and went looking for my other 2 buddies.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't leading the flight.
Yeah.
So I found them. We came home.
So that was all in your first tour. Was that in your first tour? That one?
No, that was
in the second.
That was in the second tour. Yeah.
So let's get to that. So you spent the 4 months there. Is that what it was, or something?
Mm-hmm.
And they sent you home.
Yeah. When we came back from our first one, we found out that there was another squadron that was going to go and was going to stay there for a year, and they were going to go to Thailand at one of the bases up in the upper part of Thailand.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I only got, 30 or 40 missions from Da Nang. So I go to my wife and I say, if I says, I'm a fighter pilot. And if we've already been there once, but we really didn't do that much. And I don't want to have to go back as being someplace in the headquarters because I know my way and stuff. I says, I want to go with that other squadron and be operational. And she looks at me with our 2 little boys and our 4th one that was just born. And I says, if I get any other job, it's going to be for a year. If I go with this other squadron, I've already got, I can't remember how many missions I had, but at least I'm not going to be a year. And she says, do you think you can get in that squadron? So I went over to the squadron commander and I said, you're going and you're going pretty soon. And I said, I'd like to come with your squadron. He says, really? I said, well, yes, sir. He said, well, you've already been over there. He says, do you really want to go with us? He says, heck yes, I'll put you in the squadron because you already know all the stuff that we're going to learn and you can teach us. And so I even went over on the advanced party and that was at Udon, Thailand, and it worked out pretty well. I got there early. just before they got the airplanes over there, and then I ended up flying all the time.
And how many missions did you do the second time you were there then?
Oh, I don't know, because I probably only had 30 at the very most at Da Nang, and I probably had 110, maybe 120, something, because I think I had 155 total. 156 is what I had total. So I had almost 100 there, and that was all North Vietnam. We never did anything in South Vietnam with this one.
Right. Give me some of those highlights of some of those missions.
They were pretty scary, some of them, because it was right up there, Hanoi, and there were SAMs all over. And
that would have probably been the real heat up of the war, I would think, at that point.
It was. Yeah, it was. And so...
What's some of the more memorable ones?
Watching somebody else get shot down.
Tell me that story.
Well, there was I don't even remember what kind of an airplane it was, but it was a bigger airplane. They had a crew of 5 or 6, twin engine, and it was up high, and it wasn't a killer like we were, but it had all the stuff that they could see or get,
like electronic
stuff that, and that's what their job was. And so we were up there to keep the MiGs off of them, and the MiGs never did show.
Yeah.
But we were up there, and the guys down low were finished, so they were heading home. And the captain on this one, I thought, hot dog, because now it's over. We can go home. Because I saw several SAMs come up that, and I'm right there. Nobody's watching me because I'm in the formation. And this B-36 or 56 or whatever it was, I thought, now we're going home. And he says, we're going to make one more turn to pick up more. I thought, you idiot. I've just seen and
SAMs go by.
And I called it so they could see it because it was over to their right. And so he says, no, we're going to make one more pass. So I thought, okay, I'm scared now. And so it wasn't long. SAM came up, direct hit on it with 5 guys.
Oh, wow.
I counted 5 parachutes.
Wow.
Because we were up at 35,000 feet or something like that. And I thought, okay, Harold, told you so. And then we all broke off because there was nothing else to worry about. So we got out of there. And these guys all got captured, spent the rest of the time in prison.
Wow.
And he didn't need to
do that.
To do another one.
Yeah.
Because everything was through. I was really ticked at him. But we didn't lose any of the fighters. And we got home okay. But
you talked about that you could avoid a SAM by just some maneuvering because you said the plane. To explain that to.
Okay. Well, I can do it because one came up over me. I was over Hainan, what's the main city there?
Hanoi,
yeah. I was over the airport pretty high, 30,000 feet. And I was by myself because I was doing some things and the other guys were doing something else. And so I saw a SAM launched from Hanoi up to me. And I thought, okay, I know what to do. So it's coming up and I'm up at 30,000 feet, 35, something like that. So I just aimed right at it. And it's a game of chicken. And I get in there just as far as I dare without being too scared. And then I pull 8 Gs off to the left and it gets me out and it can't turn.
It can't turn.
Because it's got little teeny things and it goes past me. And I thought, I showed you, you idiots. And I don't know where it went because it didn't get me. And by then, I was coming back to Thailand and back home anyhow.
Were the SAMs, was it all radar? Or was it heat at some point?
It's all radar controlled from the ground.
Did they have heat-seeking ones as well?
Not that I know of.
How many times you get shot? SAMs get shot at you, probably in the
at me.
Yeah, in the 150 missions you had.
I think 4.
But you just stayed cool and.
Well, I just outmaneuvered them.
So
let them go past.
When you got done with a mission, were you exhausted? Were you amped up? What is that?
No, it's pretty routine, I thought. But I would tell that to the guys that are trying to find out new things.
Yeah.
And let them know, what I saw and what I did and things like that. So.
And you never did see any MiGs in all those missions?
Nope.
Was that disappointing?
It was, because I wanted to get 5 and be an ace. And there were some F-4s that did become aces.
Yeah.
Because that's the only ones that ever fought any.
What was the upside of the F-4 versus the 104 and vice versa? What was the difference between those planes mostly?
2 seats, had 2 guys in it.
Was it as maneuverable as the 104?
Pretty much. Yeah.
And it had 2 engines, right?
Had 2 engines. The speeds were about the same. I mean, total.
Yeah.
As fast as they could go.
Yeah.
But even back at George, I was asked to go with the our wing guy because we were going to do a little show thing, 2 104s and 2 F-4s because we had F-4s on the base too.
Yeah.
And we fought and we won. The 104s won.
If you do say so yourself.
No, we did.
What was that? What was the difference? Was that the skill of the pilots or was part of the plane involved?
Well, number one, I saw them before they even saw on radar because I have pretty good eyes. And they were coming right at us. We got off to the side. And when they came in, because they're still looking on the radar, and we make a hard turn and in afterburner as fast as we can go. And both of us go up because they're a little above us too. And we get really missile shots, but we were also close enough to get gunshots. And then we did that, and then we broke off and headed for home. And they couldn't catch us. And they couldn't get their missiles on us. So that was just one of those things that we tried with 104s and F-4s.
When you guys fired a missile, was it heat seeking, or how did that go? How did it lock onto the plane in front of you?
We did have heat seekers, and they went on the tip.
The tips.
Mm-hmm. They were pretty accurate, but we needed the fuel more than we needed those, so we almost always had tip tanks.
Yeah. What did you usually go up with? You had the tanks usually, and then would you drop those before you came back?
We didn't drop the tips, but if we had pylons underneath, we dropped those.
Yeah. And the gun, what kind of gun did you have on there? Was it just one gun, or you had 2?
No, it had about 4 barrels.
4 barrels,
and it rotated because it was fast, and it was.
How? What did you get? 7-second burst if you held it down?
Oh no, it did burst for longer than that because we'd go up there with the full bullets.
Yeah. How long would you get if you sprayed?
I don't know because I never went.
Never did go
far enough, but I did a lot of spray on targets, on ground targets that we were fragged for.
Was a lot of missions people having problems on the ground and they would call you in to take care of? Is that?
Not a lot, but
with some of those?
I did have some of those, yes.
Can you give me one of those experiences if you remember?
Well, there was one that just 2 of us, we'd been up to North Vietnam and we were on a airplane target looking for MiGs. We came back, and about halfway down in Laos, we got a call. There was a ground group that was having the bad guys come up kind of a steep hill. And we still had a little fuel to get back. So we asked them on their frequency if we could help. They says, yeah, because the guys are coming up this hill and we're on top. And we said, tell us where you are and what you look like. And so we got that all arranged. And these guys were coming up a kind of a cliff. So we just turned. We still had enough fuel for another 5 or 10 minutes. And so we saw these guys coming up, and we just gave them the gun. Two of us, because it's got 6 barrels on it. And we just clobbered the ones that were trying to climb. And the guys up on top were just, thanks, we can live through this now. Because they couldn't look over and shoot down at them. That they would have been shot themselves.
Wow.
So that was kind of an interesting one.
Wow. So how did it end then over there? You did, what did you say, 120 or so missions the second time you were over there?
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened?
Well, I got cheated. I cheated a little and got a couple extras. So I ended up with 102 over North Vietnam, and the cutoff was 100.
Oh.
And so with all the time that I had been over there earlier and everything, I was the first one in that second squadron that I told you about. I was the first one to even get close to 100. And our squadron commander said, Harold, this is your last mission. And I led a flight, and we had kind of an interesting thing. Not a scary one, but...
What happened?
Well, we were loaded for dive bombing. And it was up in North Vietnam, but it was south of Hanoi.
Yeah.
And they set me up as the flight lead. And some of the guys I hadn't even flown before, but they were all good pilots. And so our job was to take our bombs, dive bombs, and there was a cave that had all kinds of stuff in, ammunition and things like that. And so we were supposed to go up there, and whether we hit the mouth of the cave didn't matter because we could hit on top of that. So I led the flight of 4, and we went up, and the night before I'd gone around and said goodbye to everybody because it was going to be in the afternoon the next day when I actually got out to get down.
Yeah.
And so this one guy says, Harold, that's your last one. I would just pickle those things off and not even care where they go. And I said, well, can't do that. I'm going to do what I'm fragged to do. And so I led the flight up and find out where it is. And so I says, okay, everybody drop both of your bombs. We're only going to make one pass each because they've got missiles down there. So we did, and I go in first, and I do my dive and pickle them off, and then I break off, and I don't even see where my bombs go. And so I circle around and watch the guys, and they're doing pretty good. And then they join back up with me, and I take them home. And when we got on the ground, well, the squadron commander had a big deal. I'm the first one to get 100 missions, and so he's got over 100 people there, and he's got gin and things like that, which I don't drink.
Yeah.
But I gave to the guy that took care of the airplane. And, it was a big thing and made the papers and all that kind of stuff. And so I circled around until they all come up and rejoin me, and I bring them home. And I pitch out and let them land, and then I stay there doing some acrobatic things over the thing. I figure, what can they do to me now? They can't punish me.
So you put on a show.
I did put on a show.
What did you do? What were some of the tricks you did?
Well, on the first one, I pitched out and did a touch and go landing because, then to get them all down. And then I came up and this down the runway, and I'd do aileron rolls one way, aileron rolls the other way, and then do, on a knife or something like that, or upside down, and just a little thing, And what I didn't know was there was an F-102, which was a base thing for base, keep everything, nobody to come out and hit the base. And he was in an F-102, and I didn't know because I'm not watching. I'm not looking that way. I don't have to look that way. But he's there, and one of the guys on the ground says, well, because I'd done one of those rolls, and I don't know, he didn't do them with me. I think he did them the opposite. And I heard something like, it was some saying that, watch out for collisions. And I thought, what does that mean?
That would have been terrible, your last thing.
So anyhow, I did my show and then came into land, and then I saw this F-102 taxiing in with me. And I met the guy, and he says, Jesus, you almost killed me. I said, well, what are you doing? He says, well, I was, escorting you in. I said, well, I didn't know that. So anyhow, we both lived. And so I parked the airplane and got out. I still had my chaps on and all that kind of stuff. And so I was a big deal because there was a lot of people there, not only our Air Force guys, but some of the others. And of course, he had vodka, and I took it. I says, but I don't drink it. So I got my crew chief, and I said, do you drink? It's a big, tall, black guy, nice guy. And he says, yeah. I says, do you want some of this? I says, you take it, all the rest. They'll fill it up for you, too. So that's how I got out of not drinking.
So that was the last one in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Did you miss it after that?
No, because I got home and I thought, I'm back with my family, and now I'm going to get another place to go. And it wasn't more than a couple of days, and I got new orders to go to Arizona, where the German F-104s were. And so my orders were to go there. It was a couple of weeks away or something like that, and to go there as an instructor. So I did.
Were you teaching Germans then at that point?
Mm-hmm. I spent 3 years there.
Because they made their version of that plane. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Yeah, these were their airplanes.
Oh, were they pretty good?
Yeah, they were just the same, almost.
And how long were you end up in the Air Force then?
At that point?
No, all total.
36 hours. I mean,
36 years. Wow.
36 years, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I retired as a lieutenant colonel. I was right on the verge of becoming a colonel. And the orders that I had, I went to Nellis also as my last one.
Yeah.
So I had my last time there after being there 3 years, and they were going to send me back to Washington, D.C. to go to the big college there that all the military goes to. And I thought, okay, that'll let me be a colonel. But I've already done that course by correspondence.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go to Washington, D.C. anyhow. The travel is too too much. I mean, there's too many cars up there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've
Traffic's terrible.
I don't know if you've driven
Yeah.
there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I says to myself, this might be a really good time to retire. So I went home and talked to Patsy and told her what was going on, what the Air Force was going to do. And I says, I think it's time for us to get out of the Air Force. What do you think? She says, well, I'll do anything that you want to do. I said, I don't want to go to Washington. And I don't care whether I'm a colonel or a lieutenant colonel.
Yeah.
Difference in pay, but I make enough money. And she says, I would be just as happy because we owned a house in Salt Lake. Because when I went overseas, she bought a house.
Yeah.
Moved back to there and rented it when we weren't there. And she says, yeah, we can go back to that house. And it was in a good place and a good house. And so I says, I think I'm just going to put my papers in and retire right here. I don't need to go to any other base. She says, well, whatever you want to do. It was kind of cute. So that's what we did. And I only had to stay there another 3 or 4 months until the end of the year. Patsy and the boys went home August so they could get them in school and stuff. But I drove up in the end of December. New guy.
But your wife was really happy.
So, well, she was a perfect wife for what we went through.
Yeah.
And, she knew I wanted the 104s and things like that. And so she never did bother it. And we had nice houses anyhow. There was a couple of places we bought and a couple of places we rented. We only lived on George Air Force Base right toward the end. So worked out well.
I want to hear, what's it like dropping napalm from an airplane?
It's
and describe that.
Yeah, that's interesting because napalm doesn't have anything to guide it. It's just going to be you let it go, it's going to hit where it's supposed to if you let it go in the right place. And we did have some of that. And it's on the pylons on the wing. I think once I had one on each pylon and one on the center line. So I had 3. And usually you don't do that from a high angle. Usually it's a low thing because it's, you're going to hit something, buildings or people or, whatever's there. And that's kind of fun. It's kind of dangerous because you're down low and anybody with a shotgun or
take pot shots at you.
Yeah. Or machine guns.
How big an area would 3 of those things do? It's a pretty big. Is it a pretty big spread?
Not the whole thing. I remember one that was down by the Cambodian border that was probably football size. And my wingman and I had 2 that we put in and still didn't take everybody. But that was at dusk. So you could see the guns shooting at you. Well, we never got shot either. Never took a shot on that, but maybe they were scared because we were going in at 450 knots and just
screaming
right on top of them. And we're maybe 100 feet at the very most. So they're going to get burned. And I didn't turn around and watch and see what we did because we were through then.
Yeah.
And we had to get back to Da Nang.
What did you do in retirement then?
Flew for a survey company, did air, taking pictures, aerial pictures all over.
Was that fun or was that Did it seem less exciting because nobody was shooting at you?
Well, I was through shooting, so I didn't bother. No, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was nice because we took pictures all over Utah, Nevada, Idaho, Montana, Colorado, Wyoming, and actually had one job where we went to Far East.
How many years did you do that?
In Virginia. I did it for 3 years, and it was kind of fun.
Yeah,
because it was an easy airplane, and the boys and I bought a Cessna 210, which had retractable landing gear and all that stuff, and all 4 of the boys
they
flew that. Yeah, 2 of them got their pilot's license in it, which was very different because the guys that give you the FAA guys are always with a trainer or something like that.
Right.
And they say, "Oh, well, are you going to fly this one?" And they said, "Well, yeah, I know how to fly that." and then the guys that gave the okay, it was neat for them because it wasn't a slow thing.
Right.
Retractable gear, and it would go fast and go high and things. So it worked out well.
Tell me a little bit about Honor Flight. You went and did that. What was that like being around other vets? And
I had a change of feel because I told my boys I didn't need to go on that, and I didn't even put my name on it. And my boys, who are all pilots, said, "You need to go." And so I said, "Okay." And I didn't know if someone had to go with you, but I had 4 sons, and they all 4 wanted to go. Well, only one went, but he was the first one that ever got into flying because he was 15 years old, and he got into gliders. But all of them could fly that 210 also. And so I finally said, "Okay, I'll put my name on," and it came up last April, and Brad, our number 2 son, went with me. And once we got going, because, we left at midnight out of Provo.
Yeah.
Did you go out of Provo?
Yeah.
So anyhow, it was better. That was April, and in February, it was my birthday, and all 4 of my boys took me to Washington, D.C., and we went through all that stuff, and we spent a week there. But now I'm going there, and I thought, this is not necessary. But once we got going, every place we went was a good place to go, and even though I'd been there, it was nice to go again, and to be with some of those guys that were World War I, World War II, just gave me a heart thump. And I was tickled pink that I had decided to do what my boys said.
Yeah.
And went. It was a wonderful experience for me.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty moving, actually.
Mm-hmm.
What's your takeaway from all of it? Your career, Vietnam? You were clearly born to fly planes, I think. You definitely had a knack for it.
I didn't know that till I was 14 years old. I think it was probably the best thing because I wasn't the big gun all the way through like I was, a good football player or something when we were in high school and things like that. So, and then to just be with some of those others that were way before me in World War II or Korea, and I just thought, I'm a blessed guy when I look at them. And all I had to do was fly airplanes, and I don't have any wounds. I don't have a Purple Heart and stuff like that. And I think it was a good thing, even for an adult, to learn some lessons.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you make of modern planes now? The F-35?
they're kind of neat, but they're really expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll go fast, and we've got the good airplanes, but boy, they're expensive. But it's fun. I mean, like Hill Air Force Base, those airplanes, they can go Mach 2 faster than we could. I mean,
yeah,
shorter, even though I've been Mach 2, but that was at 35,000 feet too.
Yeah.
But I have been Mach 1 at 4 feet above the ground.
What was that? What was that story?
Well, it was because, I'd have to, have you got all this time?
Oh, yeah, we're good.
Well, there was one of the jobs when I was at Da Nang, and to me, he was a jerk. He was a major, and I just didn't like him. Didn't like to be around him, and but he still made us do some of these things. And one of them was he led a mission, and I happened to be number 4. And I thought, I don't even like this guy. He wasn't my flight commander or anything, but he was ops officer or something and was a major. And I thought, okay. And I went over to talk to him, and I says, I understand this is where we're going. And he says, yeah, and this is our starting place because it was one of the North Vietnamese water place or something. But anyhow, there was a bridge there.
Yeah. And
so he says, this is where I start counting because we went low level, 100 feet above the ground for about 250 miles.
Wow. Just to avoid people seeing you?
Mm-hmm.
Run radar?
And I was number 4. But I noticed on that map that there was another bridge identical to it. And so I thought, well, good. That's a good starting point. He can start his time. And so anyhow, we get lined up, and he goes over and he hacks his clock, and he chose the wrong place. And I thought, okay, he's 1 minute off because there was 60 seconds between those two. And he was supposed to take the first one, but I don't know what he did. But anyhow, we get up there, and it's clear up in the southern part of the North Vietnam. And so we get off and we're doing the low level at 420 knots at 100 feet. And so he pops up and rolls over and sees the target because it's up there. So he makes his dive. No, he says, I don't see the target. And I thought, okay, the time is screwed up by 1 minute because he's looking too soon. So I says, go another 60 seconds. I'm number 4, and I'm the guy that he and I don't get along with. But I tell him that. So he does. And then he says, oh, so now he can see the target. It just took another minute.
Yeah.
So he goes in and does a da-da-da, and 2 does, 3 does, and I'm 4, and I don't even know where they are because we're spaced, and I don't know which way they go, and so I thought, it doesn't matter. I'm going to do my own thing to get out of here. So I dropped my bomb, and it was a good target, and so I thought, they all went east, I'm going to go west, and so I stay low, and I think I'm not going to get up there because I'm not going to let them shoot anything at me. And then I'm not even going to let them know I'm there. And so I went down to about 6 feet above the ground, and I know my way home. I mean, that's not a big deal.
Is it all desert, or what is it?
No, it had vines and things.
Okay.
And so I went down that fast.
Yeah.
Because they were shooting at me.
Machine guns.
Mm-hmm. But I outran them. And I was down at 4 feet above the ground, supersonic.
Oh my goodness.
And I knew where I was, and I thought it was good. But I went by a pond, and I could see on my way up to it, I could see a guy over on the dike, and I thought, I'm supersonic. I wonder if being supersonic is going to blow him off of that, because you get that wave.
Yeah.
So I just kept flying and kept going fast, and finally got down to where I thought I could slow up and get up a little higher, and it worked out fine. I found my way home and didn't have to fly with this guy that I didn't like.
But the ground was screaming by fast at that speed, wasn't it?
Yeah, there were some reeds that I probably got some in the
sucked up into the engine
inlet. Yeah, but yeah, it's pretty. It's scary, when you're going 450 miles an hour.
Oh yeah,
and you're only 3 or 4 feet above the ground. You don't know what's next.
The F-104, right, also had the Widowmaker thing assigned to it. Was that true or not true? That it crashed a lot or had a lot of problems.
I never
you
heard
never
that.
felt that. Oh, really? That's funny because doing a little research on it, that had that reputation. I think the German version had a lot of accidents, but it's funny because it kind of had, it's kind of a mixed review plane.
Yeah, I think most of their accidents were
pilot stuff.
Yeah, but not very experienced pilots.
Yeah.
I know one guy that was killed that exact way at Luke when we were teaching the Germans. Yeah.
Yeah. What a cool plane, though. Oh, my gosh.
I love the airplane, and I never felt bad in it, or
yeah,
it was nice to fly. Besides being,
it's a sexy airplane.
Yeah,
let's be honest. That was a cool plane. It was a really cool plane.
When I was in Arizona, there, besides being an instructor to the kids, I also did. If an airplane came out of being refixed, then I would fly the test on it at 35,000 feet. And that was kind of fun because I could zoom up to 50, and I didn't go above 50,000 feet because I didn't have a suit on.
Right.
That's how high you've got to have a air suit. But that was kind of fun.
What the longest mission? How long would you be in the plane? What was the longest time you were in that plane?
I think 3.5 or 4 hours, something like that.
You refueled several times then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Incredible. That's really cool.
I even had the basket break off.
Really?
Of the tanker. There have been some F-105s, and they were usually using a thing that comes out, and they were on, but they were having hard times getting on it.
Yeah.
We were pretty used to it. And when I was leading my flight commander, as a matter of fact, there were just 2 of us, and I just went on and hooked on just easy as can be. But when I did, the basket that's on the hose broke off and stayed on
the plane.
Yeah. And gas is going out and goes in the intake. So I pull up real fast, and my buddy saw the whole thing and saw what happened. I mean, it wasn't anything I did.
Yeah.
And he says, "I thought you were going to blow up." He says, "You had fire coming out over 100 feet." Because it went right through that lift intake.
Wow.
So that's when we were coming into Da Nang, and so I land with that. And, oh, you screwed up, huh? Yeah, I did.
Were you assigned a plane? Like, did you always take the same plane when you were over there in Vietnam? It was just, it was a different plane each time.
Mm-hmm.
No difference between them.
Nope.
And the ground crew was great.
Yep. Yeah, they were good. And when we left Da Nang, our wing commander came over to lead 7 airplanes back to George
Yeah.
across the Pacific. And I got able to do that. I was picked as one of the ones to do it. And in fact, I was on the commander's wing. I was his wingman.
Oh, I bet that was a lot of fun.
And it was fun because we stopped at Wake Island, spent the night. No, it was, what's the name of that place? Anyhow, we had one night, and then we stopped in Hawaii, and that was kind of the longest one too. But we all made it, except me. I had a left tip tank that didn't feed, so I couldn't get that gas, so I had to get on the tankers.
You were making a lot of pit stops along the way?
Well, not pit stops, but
on the
tankers. Yeah. So I had that. That was fun. I liked doing that anyhow. So it was all right.
Wow. What a cool experience for you, man.
Yeah, it was. And then when we, our last leg from Hawaii to George Air Force Base, then all the wives, my wife was there with our 4 little boys, and it was really kind of neat. It's a tearjerker to me now, but it was really cute.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you very much for coming in and sharing. Pretty incredible.
Well, did I talk too much?
No,
I'm sorry.
You were fantastic. That's awesome. It's amazing, though, what you did. That's incredible, the amount of missions you flew. It's cool for people to hear these stories, I think, to understand. I don't think there's a lot of sacrifice that goes into doing what you did, I think. Pretty risky.
Oh, yes.
It's not simple. It's not.
I've got good friends that never came home.
Yeah.
And some that were POWs.
Yeah.
And they killed the POWs.
It's a pretty high cost.
Yeah.
To all of that.
And they were good friends. Yeah. One really close friend was captured, and they beat him to death.
Was he in your first tour or second?
Second. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a big cost to all that for everybody.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your service, and thank you for sharing. Well, really amazing. That was really fantastic.
Thank you.
That was amazing.